So this is the assembly video for one of our larger bespoke units, the storage units. It will come in a flat pack design. This is quite a large unit that we're showing you now. Yours may be the same size as this, maybe a little bit smaller. The assembly will be pretty much identical on all these, the way we're building them in these modular designs. This way we can send these very large units out and you can get them into position where you need them on your property and then assemble them. So as you can see, we've laid these out as we're going to build it. You can see there in the centre the floor piece. Behind it are the back sections. They'll come in two pieces, top and bottom. And then we've got the left and then the right. And then the two front sections, which on this build is the actual front wall, and then next to it a door. Now, like I say, yours may be slightly different in size, but the assembly will be pretty much in the same way of assembling these. You can see that everything will come labelled, so you will know exactly which piece is which piece. I would suggest laying them out like this. Okay, we'll start assembly. Right, so this is quite a large unit, so a couple of gents will be very handy. And first of all, you're going to lay your floor out where it's going, make sure it's nice and level if you need to shim it to get it level. And you'll see there that that floor is designed to go on top. That back section, sorry, is designed to go on top of the floor there, and then you can see the screws are attached all the way along there. Okay. You can see all these screw holes will be identified with blue tape. This is literally one that is just finishing, being labelled, ready to go out to the customer. So wherever there is a blue tape, that will be where the screw is, and the screws will all be bagged, ready to be used. And so the next piece will be one of the sides. On this, we'll be using the right hand side. You can see there it is going to lift on to the floor, resting on the floor. Okay, so once you've got your side piece on, which is resting on your floor, you're going to be lining that up with the framework on the rear piece there. Okay, and then basically you can see here the screws that attach that are all down there. So you're going to attach that. Right, so and then along the bottom there to the floor. Okay, so you can see now that is holding itself together. Alright, and we're going to repeat the process on the opposite side, on the left hand side. So if you can see there, the overhang goes on the outside, the framework is simply sitting on the floor. Very straightforward, and again repeating that process. Screw it into position, and then attaching the framework together to the back. Now, what I would suggest is, with this being a unit that is lined with marine ply, if you've opted for something that's weatherproof, I would suggest before you connect these is run a bead of silicone between those two edges there, and the same when you're putting your back panel on. Run a bead of silicone right down this edge, Then when you connect them, you're just doubly making sure that any water ingress or anything like that is an absolute minimum. Little tips like that will give you a better unit overall. Okay, so at this point then, we've got the floor down, the two sides, the bottom of the rear panels on. We're now going to lift in place the other rear panel. Now this is quite a weighty unit, alright, so get some help. And what you're doing is resting that into position. Okay, now you can see there a weighty unit, but that is simply resting on there, and then you're lining up the framework here. So you're going to be manoeuvring that into position, and then you're going to be connecting those pieces. Alright. So what you're doing is you're connecting together, and you're connecting the sides together. Now all these screws have been left in position just for this build purpose, but these will all be in bags, and again, like I say, you will have tape showing that these are all to be screwed into position. Okay, there we are. A little bit of manoeuvring, and you can see there that comes together nicely. Now, as I said, some silicone in between, just running down here before you connect, and the same, some silicone in between these before you connect will be really beneficial in the long run. Okay, you can see we have the makings of the completed shed. The floor is done, the rear is done. Okay, next will be the front wall section, and that's going to fit in the exact same way. It's going to be lifted up to rest onto the floor base. Okay, you're going to manoeuvre that, and then you can see here that that's going to be connected with the side. And then literally connecting to the floor. And again, anywhere you connect to roughly a bead of silicone will be very beneficial. Okay, so the structure is virtually up now. What we're left with is the door, which will be the last piece, and then the roof. Now, this being this big unit, this is 3 meters by 1 meter deep and almost 2 meters high, or just over 2 meters high. It's a big piece. It's quite a heavy piece, so get some help and just make sure you take your time. Don't damage anything, and don't damage yourself, more importantly. Okay, so the lads are just going to pop this on. Okay, pick up when that's in position. Okay, roof. We've just picked that up and sliding that into position, and you can see here how this roof is designed to fit within that framework. You heard that, where it just clumped into position nicely. You can see this is the framework for the roof, and you can see how it's meeting the framework for the walls and the sides. Okay, so that is the lineup that you're after. You just have to line in those up so it fits nicely together. Okay, and once that is in place, what you will be doing is, again, these will all be marked. You will be connecting in the screw holes. Wherever there's a bit of blue masking tape, you will see there's a screw hole. You will be connecting those together, and that then will bring this entire unit, the structure of it, together. So what we'll do is we'll let the lads just screw that together and we'll pick up with the door next. Okay, final piece of the puzzle is the door. Now this is a very large door. This was built at the customer's request on this project. However, yours might be a little bit narrower and maybe a little bit easier to manoeuvre. But what you are looking for is the hinges will be fitted to the door, and you will be looking to line that door up with the holes on the framework. And then once you find those holes, you'll be getting some screws in just to start to take the weight of the door. So again, this is a bit of a weighty door, so that's why Stephen is getting it up, and then Peter is getting those screws in, and then this will start to hold its weight. And you will rinse and repeat that process on all those hinges all the way up, and that there is the door that will then be attached. The screws on all the hinges to make sure that's nice and supported, and basically you've got a completed unit which is assembled in 20 minutes. The only thing left to do then is attach the guttering pieces, which you can see are all run up. Again, these may be on the front or the rear depending on your option of build, but these will all be supplied and done. Okay, little tip for fitting the guttering is if you curl it around the roof like so, it will simply slide into the clips very easily. Nice little tip. Okay, and then there's the other piece. Again, you can see where Peter's just curled it around the roof, and that simply clicks into position, and then you will just attach your downspout. Alright, there you go. One assembly video. This great big monster of a unit. This one 3 meters by 1 meter deep by just over 2 meters in height. Supplied in modular sections, so it's easy to transport and easy to manoeuvre on site, because trying to manoeuvre this, you would literally need a crane or a very large forklift, and that was assembled in 20 minutes. Thank you.